Captain America Brave New World has just released in theaters, but how does it compare to the previous trilogy, or even the older Captain America films? Today, I'm going to find out by ranking all 7 Captain America movies on this tier list. Side note, I'm excluding the Captain America serial from the 40s. It's not really a singular movie, it's not really Captain America, and it's 4 hours long, so we're just gonna skip it.
No, not you, Seamus.
I'm mainly gonna talk about the MCU Captain America films and sprinkle in the older ones in between. So let's get started by taking a closer look at Captain America, the First Avenger. This has always been a good MCU movie, but never really anyone's favorite. But I actually think it's a little bit better than people give it credit for. The best thing about this movie is Captain America himself and his origin story. It does such a splendid job at characterizing Steve Rogers and getting the audience to root for him. When we first meet him, he's just the little guy, the underdog who wants to do the right thing. It doesn't matter how many times he gets hit, doesn't matter how many times he gets rejected from the military, he's not gonna give up. These core ideals to who Steve is defines his entire character for each and every future MCU movie he appears in.
I can do this all day.
And once Steve takes the serum and becomes all big and buff and oily, he's still a compelling character because he still fights to do the right thing. It's just now he's literally fighting. And Chris Evans is freaking fantastic as Steve Rogers. He's able to bring a lot of intensity and heroism to the more actiony, dramatic moments, like in that whole final sequence. But he also excels as this likable, earnest, good-natured man. And while this role isn't as inherently funny as Iron Man or Deadpool, Evans still has some good, memorable, funny moments.
So are you two? Do you fondue?
The side characters also help to flesh out this story. A lot of them are memorable and very well casted. Tommy Lee Jones is absolutely hilarious as the Colonel. I really like Dominic Cooper as a younger, more Tony Stark-like version of Howard Stark. Stanley Tucci is very impactful as the Doctor. Actually, before this rewatch, I didn't even realize that that was Stanley Tucci. I've seen this movie a million times, but it just never registered with me. I think it might honestly be because he has hair. That might be the reason I didn't recognize him. The Howling Commandos are all a riot, especially Neil McDonough as Dum Dum Dugan. And then there's Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, who used to be a really cool character. She was one of the better early Marvel love interests, mostly because she was able to take care of herself, and the romance between her and Steve came from a mutual understanding. They both know how it feels to be looked down upon, to have every door slammed in their face, to have to constantly fight an uphill battle. So that makes their romance believable and really sweet. I really like how Peggy is used in this film, but ever since What If, I've kind of been down on the character. She's just an industry plant at this point, because like, what is this? What am I looking at? No one likes this character enough for any of this to be necessary. Red Skull is the main villain of this first movie, and he's okay. Hugo Weaving is really great, and the makeup effects are iconic, but he's not exceptional at all, and he creates a really simple plot. The bad guy gets the power to destroy the world, and the good guys have to stop him, and that's about it. There's not a ton of complexity to it, not a lot to think about, but honestly, for a first Captain America movie, I guess it fits. For a movie that's going for a golden age comic book feel, it makes sense to have a really clear good versus evil story. The First Avenger was directed by Joe Johnston, and I think he did a pretty solid job. Visually, the movie sets you in the fictional 1940s, with all the super soldiers, the Hydra goons, and the Human Torch cameos. The fight scenes were all fairly well executed. None of them have crazy choreography or anything, but there are some memorable moments here and there, although there is some bad green screen at times.
What the hell is even that?
What is maybe the worst part about this film is its pacing. The First Avenger really does feel like two separate films. The first with Steve Rogers before he fully becomes Captain America, and the second after he gets the suit, in which it becomes a superhero war movie. And I think the reason it feels like there's such a huge divide is because Steve stops having a character arc after he becomes Captain America. He had this story of fighting for his chance and fighting to prove himself, and now that he has, he kind of just does heroic stuff for the last hour, which is great to watch, don't get me wrong. His sacrifice scene is really well done, and I love how it's been used in those Deadpool and Wolverine Madonna memes. a character arc, it can make the second half of the first Avenger feel a little less impactful. The very last thing I want to say about the first Avenger is that this is easily the coolest Captain America has ever been. I mean, look at this suit. This is where Captain America design peaked. He was straight up aura farming. This version of Captain America was so influential to me as a kid that the moment I left the theater in 2011, my family went and visited my cousins. So I kicked open the door to their room. I hurled a toy foam shield as hard as I could, and it hit my cousin straight in the face. It's a moment I will remember for the rest of my life. So yeah, while Captain America the First Avenger isn't a perfect movie, it still is a fantastic introduction to the character, and a darn good movie overall. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. I have never seen the 1979 Captain America TV movie, so I had no expectations going into it, and yet I was still kinda let down. The worst part about this movie is that it really is just boring. The story is a really generic TV action movie plot. This boring, evil government agent is making a neutron bomb, and in the process of getting the information that he needs, he ends up running Steve Rogers off a cliff where he freaking explodes.
Oh no!
A good government agent gives Steve a special serum that saves him, and now Captain America has to stop the evil guy and his neutron bomb. It's a really simple story that could possibly be fine, but it's weighed down by its awful pacing. The 79 Captain America is so slow. The total runtime is about an hour and a half, but you could cut out maybe 40 minutes of fluff. There are so many pointless moments that only exist to extend the runtime. Like at the end when the main character is riding a helicopter and that's the whole scene. It's not a chase, there's no conversation. It's literally just them riding the helicopter to where the main villain is. The whole first hour is incredibly dull as well, mostly because there's no Captain America stuff at all. There's barely any action, and it takes forever to get his motorcycle and suit. Watching these characters talk with one another could have been fine, but each and every single character is completely flat. Well, actually not everyone. I actually kind of vibe with this version of Steve Rogers. He's not great, don't get me wrong, but he's so laid back that it's actually pretty funny. All these people want him to take the super soldier serum or to give up important information, but he's just a chill guy who wants to drive down the coast. I will say though, his unwillingness to be a superhero really sucks. It just doesn't feel very Captain America to me. And Simon, Wendy, Tina, and these villains are all incredibly generic and very, very bland. I had to look up all of their names because none of them made an impression on me at all. And I don't know if it's the acting or the dialogue or both. It's probably both. But the line delivery is really funny at times. I imagine this is just a byproduct of it being a 70s TV movie, but I laughed out loud at many points, especially at this.
Be Captain America, Steve. Jam Captain America down their throats. Captain America did a pretty good job.
Yeah. He did jam himself down a few throats, didn't he?
As you've probably noticed, this story makes a lot of changes to the Captain America lore. He's not in World War II anymore. It's no longer the super soldier serum, it's the flag serum. The shield isn't vibranium, it's literally just his windshield. And he's more of a motorcycle-based superhero with that stupid looking helmet. Seriously, he looks like America vomited on Duke Kaboom. And these changes are goofy at worst, but the one change that I thought was really strange was that Steve isn't the first Captain America. His father was actually the first Captain America before he died, and so this movie is more of a passing of the torch story, which seems like an odd choice. Because Steve Rogers isn't a hero because he's a good man, he's a hero because his dad made a very specific steroid that only works for him and his kid. Oh no, they turned Captain America into a nepo baby. The action sequences are a mixed bag. Some are really bad, like this night chase where you can't see anything at all. Some are kind of funny, like when Steve escapes from this meat locker. And some can be pretty fun. The ending sequence where Steve breaks into this facility actually isn't awful. He's jumping like Mario and breaking down doors like Big Bird. Captain America 1979 is kind of the movie you would expect it to be. It feels cheap, it's lacking in a lot of ways, it made some odd changes to Captain America, and it's just not very good. So I'm going to put it in D tier.
Hey, look, I don't know if you guys are really staying here, but you can't get into the pool without a room key.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier has been one of the most beloved MCU films, and it's pretty easy to see why. For starters, it perfectly continues Captain America's story. Steve has some serious struggles acclimating to modern day society. He doesn't make an attempt at having a romantic life, he tortures himself by visiting Peggy or going to the Captain America Museum, and he makes a list of all the things he missed out on, which by the way is really missing some stuff. Like, I'd be heartbroken if I found out Captain America never knew what Scooby-Doo was. That would just be wrong. As Steve sleepwalks through this new life of his, he has this constant feeling of incompleteness. Sam asks him what makes him happy and he doesn't even know. Steve has this really compelling arc of discovering what his purpose is in this new world, as it's revealed that S.H.I.E.L.D. is ran by Hydra, and the world is a lot more vulnerable than it originally seemed. Steve finds out that his purpose now is exactly the same as it was during World War II, to be the shield that protects and fights for the little guy, and Captain America wearing a version of his World War II suit perfectly represents Steve's character arc coming full circle. Also, it's just cool to see him all dripped out again, because the other suit he wore in this movie was pretty lame. And I'm not even gonna talk about the suit he wore in the Avengers.
Move this man!
Black Widow and Nick Fury are our two other main returning characters. Natasha has this arc of realizing that she can do good even outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the beginning, she's very loyal to the organization and to Fury, even doing their dirty work. This is because she thought S.H.I.E.L.D. was her path forward, the way in which she made up for all her past mistakes and all her gambling debt. But she learns through her time spent with Steve that the organization she's a part of isn't what makes her a hero. She's already a hero all on her own. And then Nick Fury. Man, it really bums me out that this is the last time Nick Fury has been cool. He's had a ton of appearances since this film, but they've all been incredibly mid or actually abysmal, like his entire show. In The Winter Soldier, Nick Fury is actually great. He has strong ideals about how to keep the world safe with S.H.I.E.L.D. and an arc of changing his ideals after S.H.I.E.L.D. is destroyed. And he also has one of the coldest entrances of all time. The Winter Soldier introduces Anthony Mackie as Falcon, who will be a lot more important later. Falcon was always one of my favorite side characters in the MCU, and he's pretty great here. There are a lot of fun moments between him and Steve, like of course, on your left, and he's pretty well characterized. He's basically just a good man who gets back into the fight because Captain America needs him. The Winter Soldier's story is also pretty well done. Where the first Avenger was really simple, this movie took more of a complex approach, where S.H.I.E.L.D. is compromised from the inside, and Captain America is now a fugitive in the same country he fought for previously. It's an infinitely interesting conflict, and the different twists and turns about who is secretly a Hydra agent and what their evil plan actually is really engaging. And the main villains themselves are all memorable. Frank Grillo as Crossbones is a solid heavy. Alexander Pierce works as an almost anti-Nick Fury. And I think it's really cool how they got Robert Redford to play him. I mean, that's the freaking Sundance Kid. And of course, there is the villain of this movie. Just like Nick Fury, this is the coolest the Winter Soldier has ever and will ever be. He was straight up aura maxing. I mean, freaking look at this man. The design is peak, the characterization is peak, and the story of him being Captain America's brainwashed friend is also peak. People love Bucky for a reason, and that reason is this movie. Because after this, he becomes significantly less cool. The best part about Captain America: The Winter Soldier that I haven't mentioned yet is the action scenes. Every single action sequence is creative, memorable, and really energetic. The infiltration of the boat is a fantastic introduction to the type of action in this film. Nick Fury's car fight is really intense. The elevator fight in Cap's escape from S.H.I.E.L.D. is maybe the most perfect set piece in the film. The highway fight features a really memorable 1v1 between Bucky and Steve, and the whole final sequence is chaotic and epic and full of awesome moments. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is one of the best films on this tier list and of the entire MCU. It's an easy S tier Captain America film.
When Captain America throws his mighty yes!
On the DVD I bought for these two Captain America movies, there's a commercial for the Superhero Squad show, which was a real blast from the past. I kinda wish I was watching that right now.
Hey, it's a civil war. What's the worst that could happen?
All jokes aside, I think Captain America 2 Death Too Soon is actually better than the original, mostly because this film is much more entertaining. Steve Rogers spends a lot more time in the suit, and the movie makes sure to spread out all the action scenes. And these scenes aren't bad at all. The beginning fight where Captain America stops an old woman from being robbed is really charming, especially when Cap runs down one of the crooks on foot and hits the other with his cheap plastic shield, which he threw in the most gentle way possible.
Holy shit, he dead!
The fight at the docks is kinda questionable, because I'm pretty sure these guys are just normal dock workers, but it's an engaging fight nonetheless. There's an impressive bare knuckle brawl where Steve fights off all these townsmen, and the whole final action sequence is fairly fun, with a dogfight, a hang glider motorcycle, and a standoff between Cap and Christopher Lee. All these action sequences are pretty fun. However, that doesn't stop Death Too Soon from being really generic, just like the first. The story is something we've all seen before. Christopher Lee plays an international terrorist named Miguel, and he spreads a disease on America that makes people and animals age really rapidly. The only way to reverse the aging is an antidote that he is holding for ransom in exchange for billions. So Captain America has to find his secret base to stop him. It's a pretty typical terrorist race against time plotline that we've seen plenty of times before, and while it tickles me that Christopher Lee is the villain of a Captain America movie, his character isn't the most exciting in the world. Although there is a time where he calls Cap Mr. Rogers, and I thought that was pretty funny. I'm just imagining him being really mad at Mr. Rogers for whatever reason.
You're learning so many important things, and I'm so proud of you.
Captain America 2 is still a TV movie, so it has all the problems of a TV movie. A lot of the performances besides Red Brown and Christopher Lee are fairly flat. There's a lot of clunky dialogue, and visually it does look rather cheap. These are issues the film really couldn't escape, but it suffers from nonetheless. The final thing I want to mention about Captain America 2 Death Too Soon is that it does something that I think is really brave. Something the MCU was even far too afraid to ever do. It gave Captain America a cat. Look at the little guy, he's so adorable. His name's Heathcliff, he's orange, and he's awesome. This cat for sure won me over. But still, I think the movie overall is only mid at best. So I'm putting Captain America 2 Death Too Soon in C tier.
Hi, I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have: patience.
Captain America Civil War is up next, and this is a monumental MCU film, because not only does it balance the huge cast of characters, but it also delivers a fantastic story. The Avengers being divided over the Sokovia Accords makes for some inherently riveting conflict. It reframes the past victories in Avengers 1, Winter Soldier, and in Age of Ultron as losses. We understand every character's motivations and why they fall on which side of the Accords that they do. Steve believes that the world is safer if the Avengers can freely operate, so he intends not to sign. Tony suffers from his PTSD from Ultron, so he thinks he, and by extension the Avengers, needs checks and balances. Falcon is Captain America's wingman, so of course he doesn't want to sign the Accords. And War Machine is a fed bootlicker, so he's all about the Accords. He's drooling at the thought of doing whatever the world governments want him to do, for whatever reason. Bro probably thought Waco was a happy story.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
It's already tense watching our heroes at odds with one another, but it reaches even greater emotional heights with how the movie ends. The reveal that Bucky killed Tony Stark's parents is devastating, and their final fight is both heartbreaking to watch and leaves a lasting impact on the MCU, as this was the true event that tore the Avengers apart. This was the real Civil War. This movie's story is only as good as its villain, and Zemo is such a menacing villain when he's not, you know, breaking it down.
Sticking out your gap for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity.
Mostly because he actually succeeded. His plan went perfectly. He managed to get the Avengers to fight each other, to lure Steve and Tony to Russia with the threat of these secret super soldiers, and he gets them both into position to see the videotape of Bucky kissing Tony's mom. Or, I mean, killing Tony's mom. And Zemo himself is a very compelling character because we fully understand him. Zemo was a victim in Sokovia and he lost his entire family. It's a really strong character motivation, and I love how it's represented in the film, with him listening to the last ever phone message his wife ever sent him, a reminder of why he's doing what he's doing. It's a good thing she left him a good message. Imagine if the last thing Zemo had to listen to was something like this.
Okay, yeah, I know I'm not the best at driving, but come on, no need to be rude.
Captain America Civil War also has a huge cast of awesome characters, and it sure is fun to watch them fight. I still remember the lead up to this movie. Marvel was heavily marketing pick your side, Team Iron Man or Team Cap. And personally, I was Team Iron Man because it's hilarious how unbalanced these teams are. Cap, Bucky, Falcon, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and Scarlet Witch is a fine team. I'm not bashing these characters at all, but Team Iron Man has Black Widow and Vision and Black Panther and freaking Spider-Man. At the time, we didn't think we would ever see Spider-Man in the MCU, and here he is on Team Iron Man. And the airport action scene is for sure the most impressive set piece of the entire film. The different character pairings make for some fresh entertainment. Hawkeye versus Black Panther, Cap versus Spider-Man, and Iron Man versus Ant-Man are some of my personal favorite pairings. This scene is also the first appearance of Giant Man in the MCU, which was something I remember really wanting back in the day. And the finale of the fight with War Machine getting seriously injured adds some serious stakes to the entire fight. There were actual consequences of these superpowered people fighting each other in a parking lot. I don't have much else to say about Captain America Civil War. It's a fantastic movie through and through. It has great character writing, great action scenes, and it's one of my favorite films on this tier list. So I'm gonna put it in S tier.
This is the 1990s.
Before I talk about Captain America 1990, I should preface that I've been hearing rumblings of a really good director's cut, but I don't have access to this mythical version of the movie, so I'm stuck with the standard release. And boy, is the standard release absolutely terrible. It is the funniest movie on this list, and it did not intend to be funny. Everything from how the film was directed, to the acting, to the dialogue, makes for some pretty funny moments, like when Steve receives the super soldier serum, and they're playing Star Wars sounds. Or the scene where Cap makes Red Skull cut off his own hand.
Falling hand! Amazing! No!
Or the fact that they confirmed the Red Skull was involved in the assassination of some pretty important people.
That this Red Skull guy was closely involved in the murders of Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy, Martin Luther King.
Matt Salinger plays Steve in this film, and he's not the best. I mean, he captures the good-natured side of the character well enough, but when he wears the suit, he just looks silly. He always looks lost, and the rubber ears and the flimsy shield don't help to make him look cool or intimidating or anything like that. Also, there's a moment where he looks straight into the camera after he killed the Red Skull, and it's so funny. Imagine if Jim from The Office killed someone. It would be the same vibe. Also, the Red Skull himself is laughable. First of all, the design is just awful. He looks like a hemorrhoid, and they changed his origin so that he's not a Nazi anymore. Now he was an innocent Italian boy who was captured by the Nazis and turned into this. So I guess insert some Italian Red Skull joke here, I guess.
Hey! Hey!
His evil plan is freaking hilarious. He has a lifelong dream of being the president of the United States. So he kidnaps the sitting president and plans on taking his seat or whatever. But honestly, could he not just run? Maybe he actually has really good policies that the American people would like. I don't know. I mean, Bush got elected. Anything is possible.
Now watch this drive.
The story of Captain America 1990 is really boring. So Captain America is frozen after a fight with the Red Skull, but then he wakes up in the future and finds out that the Red Skull is still alive. So he has to stop him. And that's it. That's the full story. No interesting conflicts. No character arcs, just mediocrity through and through. And even the action sequences are really bad. There was potential for these to be good because the movie actually does have some interesting stunts and effects, but the editing is actually awful. It's borderline Academy Award worthy awful. Instead of just showing the audience what's happening, the film feels the need to jump between the shots in the most obstructive way possible. Here's an example. Seriously, what the hell is this movie? Look, I'm not gonna keep beating a dead horse. This movie's bad. Everyone knows it's bad. If the super good director's cut ever comes out, I'll be sure to talk about it in a separate video. But for now, I have to put Captain America 1990 in D tier. But before we move on to the newest Captain America, I just want to say we're nearly halfway to 100,000 subscribers. It's the big goal I want to hit this year, and once we get there, I'm releasing a ranking of every single Star Wars movie and show, even the bad ones. So if you're enjoying this video so far and you want to see that future video, make sure you're subscribed. Now let's see how the newest Captain America film ranks.
And then they broke his leg! Hey, get it! Hey, come on!
Captain America Brave New World is Falcon's first new movie as Captain America. And to properly talk about this film, I have to briefly talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And this show is just bad. It's not very memorable. It's poorly written, and it tarnished the character of Sam Wilson. The show took this well-meaning, intelligent, good person and transformed him into a petty, inconsistent, and morally empty nothing burger of a character. When he gives up the shield in the beginning of the series, he's shocked that the government would choose a different Captain America, and then in these early episodes, Sam and Bucky treat John like actual garbage, even though he's a genuinely good guy who is constantly trying to help and work with Sam and Bucky. He shows up to support them when they're fighting on that truck, he gets Bucky out of jail so that he can help with the Flag Smashers, and also he's a freaking war hero who earned 3 medals of honor, and Bucky and Sam treat him like mean girls.
You can't sit with us!
And after Sam becomes Captain America, he gives a huge speech to these senators, which makes him sound like a complete idiot. This senator says
that you have no idea how complicated this situation is.
And Falcon replies with,
you know what, you're right.
But even though he doesn't know what he's talking about, he still thinks he's in a position to say,
you've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up.
He doesn't even say in which way the senators need to do better. He doesn't say anything. He's trying to make them be more sympathetic to the people displaced by the blip, but he doesn't give them anything of substance or any way to practically do that. I really liked Sam Wilson in the MCU before this show, and I was genuinely excited to see him as Captain America. But this show borderline ruined him, so I was hoping that Brave New World was going to change that. And now that I have seen the film, I can say for sure that Sam Wilson is once again a fantastic character. I really loved him in this movie. A lot of the aspects I liked about the character, like his kindness, his intelligence, and his ability to understand and help other people, is on full display. And it's these aspects of the character that make him unique and make him a good Captain America for people to look up to. He has a really compelling arc in this film of proving to himself and proving to the world that he is worthy enough to hold the shield. And Anthony Mackie gives his best performance in this role. He's able to make Sam Wilson a genuine, understandable protagonist who can resonate with audiences. Brave New World is not a perfect film though. I think the script is rather messy, especially in the first half. The film begins by throwing a ton of plot points your way, and it's really easy to lose track of what's going on, who knows what, and what the overall story is supposed to be. But as the film treks along, all these plot points merge into one cohesive story and everything starts to make more sense. And I actually do like the story this film presents. And the movie doesn't try to have like this huge grand message. It instead focuses on the characters and their stories. And all the emotional beats of the film come from them, which I really appreciated. The dialogue can be really awful at times though. There was just so much exposition, so much. I lost track of how many times characters just explain stuff. For example, the movie begins with a news reporter breaking down what happened in The Incredible Hulk, because the movie assumes that audiences don't remember what happened in that film. But Marvel, I assure you, we remember what happened in The Incredible Hulk. It was one of the only times in the MCU that the Hulk was cool.
Lord have mercy, I'm back to bus.
This film has some cool side characters. Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres is a fun sidekick to Sam, and the two have some good chemistry together. Carl Lumbly gives a really emotional performance as Isaiah Bradley. Tim Blake Nelson is absolutely fantastic as the leader. And then there's who I think is the best part of this movie. Harrison Ford as President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Wow. What a performance. I was genuinely blown away by how much Harrison Ford put into this character. He made the funny mustache general guy who wanted to hunt the Hulk one of the most emotionally compelling characters in the whole MCU. He has a fantastic character arc of trying to redeem himself. His motivations are all clear, His role in the overall story is understandable, and him becoming the Red Hulk was maybe my favorite part of the film. It works both thematically and as a fun superhero action sequence. And let's be honest, it's really fun seeing Harrison Ford as a frickin' Hulk. The last thing I will say about Captain America Brave New World is that you can for sure tell what scenes are from the reshoots. The film feels really patched together. I didn't mention Giancarlo Esposito's character earlier because I'm pretty sure he was part of these reshoots. He was a character who was added later and it really feels like it. A ton of scenes jump between looking really good to having some of the worst green screen you will ever see. It looks very similar to some scenes from Joss Whedon's Justice League, where it will cut between a scene that was clearly shot by Zack Snyder to a scene that was clearly not shot by Zack Snyder. These moments in Brave New World were really distracting, and just in general, the CGI was not the best. Like, the Red Hulk was cool, and at moments he looked really great, but some moments were clearly unfinished. Captain America Brave New World is a good movie. It's not great, it's not bad. It had a ton of fun action sequences, some impactful emotional moments, and some brilliant performances. But it really does suffer from a messy script and obvious reshoots. So I'm going to put Captain America Brave New World in B tier. And that's the tier list. Of course, this is just my ranking. Make sure to let me know how you would rank these movies down in the comments. And if you want to check out another video, you can click here to watch my ranking of every single X-Men film. Or you can click on this video that YouTube picked out just for you.